Hey, welcome back to the Athletes Podcast. This is episode 215 featuring Christian Dyer and my boy Altered State from Perfect Sports. If you guys haven't had it yet, it's the best pre-workout on the market. The world's strongest man takes it, which means you should probably take it too if you want to be strong. This episode is brought to you by Perfect Sports. We're powered by it. They're the best supplements on the market. You should use them too. Use the code AP20, get 20% off. Now, Christian Dyer, USA 7s and 15s rugby players. Someone who I'm grateful to be able to call a buddy now. We were chopping it up for just under an hour. I love Christian's charisma, confidence, his ability to cut out the noise, and frankly, the fact that he just goes and gets it done. If you've followed him on social media, you know he wakes up early, he gets after it, he eats clean, whole foods, and then he supplements properly. He's treating his body right, he's a professional athlete, and he's going to see success for years to come because he continues to put in that work on a daily basis. If you're a young athlete looking to model your game after someone, Christian's probably someone who you'd be interested in following along. This is an episode that features a ton of insights, knowledge, wisdom bombs. I hope you enjoy. Let us know down below your favorite part, and maybe we'll ask one of your questions on an upcoming episode. I read all the YouTube comments. I even read the chirps, the jokes, the laughs, everything in between. I appreciate you folks for tuning in. Don't forget about our athlete agreement. If you're watching, just be sure to hit that subscribe button. It takes you literally 2 seconds, but it means so much to me, and it allows us to keep doing this on a weekly basis, bringing you the best content possible with some of the world's most incredible athletes. Without further ado, let's talk to one of those today, Christian Dyer, episode 215 of the Athletes Podcast. Here we go.
You're the most decorated racquetball player in U.S. history. World's strongest man. From childhood passion to professional athlete. 8-time Ironman champion. So what was it like making your debut in the NHL? What is your biggest piece of advice for the next generation of athletes? From underdogs to national champions. This is the Athletes Podcast, where high-performance individuals share their triumphs, defeats, and life lessons to educate, entertain, and inspire the next generation of athletes. Here we go.
Christian Dyer, correct? I'm saying it properly?
Yeah.
Perfect.
People call me CD.
CD, automatic, hey? You just plug them in and hit play?
It's easy. It's easy.
You're like the Energizer Bunny in all your content, dude. You're always
Yeah.
buzzing. You have a coffee going 24/7?
Yeah, I drink copious amounts of coffee.
That and Thorne supplements, eh?
Thorne, I'm now working a little bit with Human Improvement and Organifi. But yeah, dude, the morning routines, I'm locked in now. But my sleep's been killer, which is why I think like once I've nailed like the recovery aspect of it, everything else in life is better. Mental clarity, energy, happiness, just everything.
What's the Whoop score at?
This morning, let's see. It's been a long week of training, but today I got 82% recovery,
Ooh.
9 hours 11 minutes of sleep.
Jeez. 9 hours 11 minutes, dude. That's legit.
3 hours 44 minutes of REM.
Whoa, dude, you literally you 4x'd mine last night. I had a bad sleep, but you know what? We're still here.
Dude, I'm gonna sleep at 8:33.
That's dedication. That's that AP JJ Watt sleeping your face off, as Brian Peters would say.
100%, and I love it. Like when it's like 7:15, I'm like, all right, I'm already thinking about getting ready to go to bed.
I'm the same way. The girlfriend doesn't love that. I'm looking at Phoenix last night. It's like 7:30 Friday night. I'm like, hey, I got Christian on the pod tomorrow morning. I'm like, I might just call it in early. She's like, it's 7:30 on a Friday, Dave.
And I'm like, yeah.
Hey, duty calls. You want to be a high performer? These are the things you got to do, right? You got to be crushing your electrolytes in the morning.
More things than you're going to say yes to.
Where was that? You were training at that, was it Sports Authority in Houston?
Sports Academy.
Sports Academy.
Dude, it's the most insane facility ever.
Dude, I was watching your day in the life and I couldn't believe how many different modalities of recovery were available at your disposal.
Everything. Like, I'd walk in, I'd get there around 7:30, red light bed straight away, then I'd cold plunge, then I'd go lift, then they'd make me my smoothie, then I'd hop in the sauna, and then a couple days a week I'm in the oxygen chamber. Like, it was such a good system.
Tough life, hey, living the pro athlete lifestyle, eh?
It's not bad at times.
I think it's interesting because one of the things that I like to do on this podcast, obviously you're a podcast host as well, playing a professional sport in rugby. I don't necessarily love glamorizing professional sport. You have a buddy who you were training with in one of your videos, Garrett, who's an NFL free agent. There's highs and lows in professional sport.
And people think of it, they see the day in the life by Christian Dyer on Instagram. It looks sick. He's waking up at 5, sauna, red light, etc. But it's not always sunshine and rainbows, right?
No, but that is my sunshine. Like the lifestyle aspect of it is something that I've fallen so in love with, aside from just playing the sport, traveling, winning, all that other stuff. Like just the way that I'm able to approach my life through sport has been incredible. And working hard, doing these recovery modalities, living this, healthy, high performance lifestyle is something that I thoroughly enjoy. And if you were to take rugby out of my life, I still can do each and every one of those things that I just mentioned.
I think that's what's been the most impactful for me. I don't know if you know much about my backstory, but I played everything growing up in high school. Realized I probably wasn't go to the NHL or the PGA Tour. Once I graduated, focused on academics, go to uni. Realized I'm like, hey, I can still apply all of the benefits, what I learned from the power of sport, being an athlete, to everyday life, entrepreneurship, business, etc. To your point, dude, waking up in the morning, having a nighttime routine, having a daytime routine just sets you up for success in life. Doesn't matter whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, a first responder, because everyone needs to be performing their best. And we're all high performers, right?
100%. And that's the thing is high performance has nothing to do with your job title.
Yeah. And it doesn't care what your job title is, whether you're the coach, the trainer.
Shit.
Yeah. Dude, tell me a bit about your upbringing. Like rugby players, maybe not enough knowledge in the sport of, I shouldn't say in the sport. In the U.S., it's an up-and-coming sport. And people are starting to take notice of the athletes, arguably some of the best athletes in the world are rugby players. What did you play growing up? Like, did you acquire these skills? Were you always playing rugby? Did you play other sports?
Dude, I was a mutt growing up. I mean, typical American, childhood where I went from t-ball to baseball to soccer to basketball. But football was always at the core. I played that through my entire childhood. So I probably started when I was 9 or 10 years old, whenever Pop Warner gets going in your life. And so the summer and falls were very football oriented. And then come spring, I was bouncing around sport to sport. Tried lacrosse in 4th grade. Didn't really love it. 5th grade, didn't play a spring sport except some school basketball type of stuff. And then in 6th grade, rugby came into my life and someone told my dad about it. I think dad's buddy's son was playing and they're like, hey, you just got to show Christian what rugby is. Just bring him out to practice. And from there, I really started to, find a love and passion for the sport, despite not being that good at it from the get-go. I just enjoyed the physical component, the freedom that you get as a rugby player, all positions, all skills. You're not really limited to just playing offense or playing defense. You have this autonomy with the sport that I found really, really fun. And I kept going. Fortunately, the high school that I went to, Jesuit of Sacramento, private boys high school, where rugby has such a big and rich tradition and history at that school, that just gave me that platform to develop and have some really high-level coaches at my side. And it was a school that supported the rugby program, not just a club that brings in, athletes from all these other schools to go play for this club. So there was real backing behind it, and that's what really kickstarted my career in rugby. And fortunately, was able to represent the USA at the under 16 and under 17 level, which took me over to London when I was a young kid, and my eyes were opened up to the realities of rugby worldwide, and I started to realize that there was real potential to play this at the next level. And you go one step further, you could even make a living from playing rugby, and that's where it all came from.
Not a lot else to focus on when you're at an all-boys school, eh?
Jesuit was one of the best 4 years of my life where, school was obviously a priority, and my father was pretty strict on me with getting, good grades, but it was a fraternity at school, and it was really, really rooted in sports, and I loved it, every single moment of it.
Do you think those all boys schools end up developing better athletes because they aren't as distracted by, we'll say, the other sex, for instance? Like, I think of a St. Michael's, St. George's up here in BC. You played against them in rugby, I'm sure. Down there, did you guys have some studs coming out there because all they were focusing on was school and athletics?
Dude, our high school has produced some of the best USA Eagles, best players that have gone on to the best, rugby universities. But I definitely am a proponent of all boys high schools, private education. You know, if you're fortunate and privileged enough to be able to attend a school like that. But we were at school from 6 a.m. doing morning workouts. Then we were at school. Then we're spending another 3 hours at school just playing our sport. And so you're just consumed in this environment of proper education and high level sports. And, you know, I think Malcolm Gladwell needs to do an outlier edition on private versus public school, you know, sport outcomes. But I definitely think going to a private boys school where sports was a huge, huge component of those 4 years laid the foundation for me to develop as a person, as a student, as an athlete, and just understand that work hard, play hard mentality.
Was it Muhammad Ali that said the tough part isn't the training, it's avoiding the parties and the gals on with the weekends and evenings?
Yeah, that guy also, I don't know, he said some things. I think it was either him or Tyson who's like, I don't count my sit-ups until they start hurting. But I mean, yeah, we had a sister school where, you know, we mingled with them, proms, homecomings, all that type of stuff. But from an early age, I was one of those guys that typically said no to a lot of the partying. I was always the DD of the friend group. You know, once or twice a year, I had my fair share of fun nights. But I was always pretty locked in. And I think me saying no to things on Thursday, Friday nights where, you know, I'm going to go train or I'm going to go work out, they're tough decisions in the moment, but you look back on it and you realize those are the moments that allowed me to get to where I'm at today.
Dude, I hope that young athletes, the 16, 15, 17-year-olds that are listening to this conversation right now, take that in and really just like soak it up. Because I went through it. Dude, I know exactly how you felt. We're like the exact same age, so it's curious because we're roughly the same age, born in the same year. And I have a theory that the 97 birth class is probably the best athletes ever per annual basis. Dude, I'm like, I think there's something there. I've probably said it over the past 4 years and a bit, but there's something there. We'll dig deep over the next couple of years. We'll show it off. Yeah. But I think, honestly, there's something to be said for being an athlete who's willing to say no and being able to say no to friends, say no to family, say no to extracurricular activities. And don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for those things. Yeah. But you got to be able to know that if you're supposed to train from Monday to Friday at 7 p.m., I don't care whether your friends are going to the movies, you got to go train, right? And whatever that is, if that's just the stretching, maybe that's just the foam rolling. And I keep reverting back to that conversation between you and Brian on the chase, but man, Mr. Peters knows exactly what it took. That guy jumped through every NFL, football, organization, institution across North America to get to that level. I don't know. Do you think that it's something that you see others going through and like this generation maybe not understanding the value of just putting in that work and being short-term gratified?
Yeah, I think as the years go on, there's a smaller and smaller population of kids who get it or who want it enough. And with everything in our world where we can get things instantaneous like this, you know, we go on our phones and boom, you got a like, or boom, you can look up information, or you're seeing people on social media that have it and you think you're entitled to think that you deserve it now, when in reality, the guys who have it and who are living that lifestyle that all these people are dreaming of, it took them a decade, sometimes 2 decades to get to where they're at. And, you know, growing up, a fuel source for me was just the fear of failure. And that drove me to ends that you look back on, you're like, geez, I was so scared not to get where I wanted to get. I was so scared not to play at Cal Berkeley. I was so scared to not play for the USA Eagles because I was always telling people that's what I wanted to do. And the fear of me not living up to those words that I'm telling people that I want to go do drove me to those ends, to staying on Friday nights, to do the extras when no one's looking. But now as I've matured, I've kind of pivoted from the fear of failure to now I'm so excited for these opportunities, and I have such a more optimistic outlook that I'm just chasing a lifestyle, and I'm chasing what can I do through my platform, through my sport and everything I'm doing to help that next generation of kids. So it's from fear of failure to now it's, geez, like what's next? What can I go reach? What goals can I set after I reach the next goal, and just continuously evolving where I want to go and who I want to become. if I were to put it on one thing, it was working with a sports psychologist. You know, it wasn't just on me where I flipped the page, I turned, 25 or 24, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not fearful of failure anymore. I'm now chasing opportunities and outcomes and success. It was probably 12 months of working with a psychologist and just unfolding some of these childhood memories and even childhood traumas where that fear of failure originated. And I've just changed my outlook on sport. I've changed my outlook on life. I've realized that I'm never going to have a perfect game, so I got to stop trying to have a perfect game. There's going to be moments where I miss, and I'm okay with that now. But as long as I continue chasing progress over perfection, I'm in a good spot.
February, Mental Health Awareness Month. Obviously, Bell Let's Talk Day just happened. Sports psychology, going to a psychologist, maybe looked at as I don't want to say negative, but there was a stigma associated with it for athletes. Any issues with that? Have your teammates been supportive of that? Was that something that you even considered?
High school, no, wouldn't have considered it. College, no, wouldn't consider it. It's once I turned pro and international when I realized that when you're playing sport at a high level, it's really 95% mental, 5 or 10% physical. Everybody has the physical attributes that are required to play sport at a high level. But can you perform under pressure? Can you disassociate your identity from your sport? And can you just live a lifestyle that's sustainable? You know, the best athletes, these GOATs that we talk about, they play sport for a decade, maybe more, because they understand that sport has to be a longevity-driven outcome. You know, you can't go all in for 1 week, 1 year, one game. You have to think of it a little longer, from a different perspective. And that's what I did. I just changed my outlook. And if you're not seeing a sports psychologist, if you're not talking to mentors, people that know more than you in an industry, well, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. I think you have to go seek out help because you're not an expert in everything. And I think it speaks more to who you are as a person to be vulnerable enough to ask for help than it is to put all these emotions and feelings inside and think that we can fix it ourselves.
Dude, you're wise beyond your years. I don't have many mid-20s guys coming on here and talking about, the importance of mental wellness, going to speak to a psych. I think that's also one of the things that the cold exposure does to us is builds that mental resilience. I know Brian brought it up. As much as Daddy Huberman's out here providing us protocols to keep us in shape and healthy, I think, man, sitting in a cold plunge for 3 minutes, that gets rid of all of those thoughts pretty damn quick.
Because it's 3 minutes of time where all you're focusing on is in that cold water, and it's you and your thoughts. And that's the thing about cold. Like, I don't have a cold plunge at my house here. I would, but I'm limited to studio space. So I'll jump in cold shower first thing in the morning. But that constant debate between yourself from when you wake up cozy and warm in your bed to try to go get in cold water, those are the little battles that if you can consistently start winning, you start building a level of self-confidence that you never knew existed because you're doing the things that you tell yourself you're going to do, right? I always tell people, the more you let yourself down on compromising on those things that you know you need to do, but you don't do it, how are you going to go look at yourself in the mirror and be proud and respect yourself if you can't even hold your own self accountable?
Imagine that moment when you wake up, you're like, man, I got a podcast in an hour. And, jump in the shower and I'm going to turn that thing straight to cold. And that's what I had to do this morning. I didn't want to do that. But I knew that, hey, if I want to be energized, I want to have my cup of coffee in the morning, which I have.
There you
Actually,
go.
some Switch supplements on Switch, which has been legit. But either way.
What do you put in your coffee?
I just got sent, it's called Switch Supplements. They have this on Switch. I need to, I'll send you a screenshot with some of the ingredients. Pretty legit. But, no, normally I'm just a black coffee kind of guy in the morning. Honestly, I think that we've got some cacao mix from Athlete's Apothecary as well. There's some mushroom blend that's been good. But, dude, supplements, that's a whole other story. And I think unless you're focusing on the big rocks, which I've heard you talk about, your sleep, your hydration, your food, adding in that cacao mix or your greens or whatever the other supplement is you're taking is not going to make you the best person, the best athlete, the best human you can be.
No, it's not. It just puts Band-Aids on things that aren't long-term.
Right? Where do you see what's been the biggest bang for your buck as far as like a supplementation, since we're on that? Cold exposure, heat exposure, we know sauna after the workout's the best thing in the world. We know that maybe going in the cold beforehand makes for a great workout. But outside of those two, what's been your biggest mover?
Yeah, so I think if we look at especially American population as a whole, there's probably 3 supplements that I think everyone should be on. That's a magnesium supplement, that's a vitamin D3 supplement, even though we're out in the sun, and I'm out in the sun hours on hours a day, right? But my D3 levels are still low. Yeah, so I take a high dose D3 supplement. It's 10,000 IU of D3 with, I want to say 125 or 150 milligrams of K. And then a high dosage fish oil. So that's EPA and DHA. And so those are 3 that I take. That's non-negotiable every single day. I also take a methylated B vitamin. And when I say methylated, basically there's no nutrients that we take in as a human being that our body uses in the form that we ingest it in. And so say we eat a vitamin B12, typically it's a synthetic form, and then our body has to convert it. That's about it.
That's a good stack,
but
dude.
Magnesium, D3, fish oil, creatine, non-negotiable. And then the methylated B vitamins are really what I'm taking. And the reason I know all this is I work with a great company called Blokes. Shout out Blokes by Josh Whalen. But we do my blood testing 4 times a year. So I know exactly what my body needs, what it doesn't need, and I'm supplementing for deficiencies rather than taking a supplement because your neighbor or your teammate says, hey, this is the real deal. No, I'm going to put in my body what it actually needs.
Those 3 that you mentioned, though, those are like the podium, I'd say. The omega-3s, the magnesiums. Like, people underestimate what an omega-3, magnesium, and that, like, even creatine. Everyone should be taking creatine.
Girls too.
Yes. I can't stress it enough for females, the importance. Yeah. It's not just going to make your muscles big. It's also going to help cognitive function. It's going to help physical performance. Like, thank you for bringing that up. I can't thank you enough. Anyways.
I'm recording this midday. This is obviously something you guys might be listening to during your morning, evening, or midday routines. Whenever you're going to the gym, sometimes you need a little extra push, a little extra energy, a little something to kickstart the engine, get things rolling. This is where I use Altered State. My favorite flavor so far is Rocket Pop. I love it. It's the best. The Cherry Blossom Bomb is also bomb, for lack of a better term. It's crazy, though. The nootropics in this, I know I brought it up last week. They're phenomenal. The 3 types of caffeine in here are sensational, as well as the increased blood flow, the metabolism boost, the cognitive performance. You can't get all of this in any other pre-workouts that are out there on the market, but Perfect Sports does it. Use the code AP20 to save 20%, and let me know what you think down below. Whether it's the protein, the #1 on the market, or the pre-workout, or the Hydro Splash, let me know. I love Perfect Sports, and I'm proud to be able to work with them. Hopefully you folks are getting them in your system as well. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the episode.
We've covered the big rocks. Did you learn all this at Cal Berkeley? Like, how have you been able to kind of develop the mind muscle? Because most people look at athletes, they think we're jocks, and they don't think that you're going to be able to talk about methylated supplements and why they're able to digest in your system better. Like,
I studied political science at UC Berkeley, so I didn't study human biology, but I read tons of books. I listen to podcasts from the experts every day, and at the core is like, I always suffered from, brain fog and headaches and not feeling my best. And I think you're always most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. And having not felt 100%, I started to figure out answers on my own, which is why I have kind of a wide array of knowledge in some of these fields. I'm not an expert in any means, but I'm always an enthusiast trying to learn more ways that I can optimize myself from a physical and mental and emotional and social standpoint. And that's why I know a lot in different fields, and I'm super, super interested and passionate about the human body and the ways that we can feel better and look better. And in my life right now, it's how can I perform the best on the field.
Any difference playing at the international level compared to locally within the U.S.? Like, any differences? I know you were traveling 100%. Over to Dubai.
100%. I mean, number one, just the speed and the intensity level is heightened. Because you're going up against the best of an entire, country or nation. And so right there, and then obviously it's a bigger stage and you're representing your country. And I think there's more emotions involved. People are like, oh, you got to treat every game the same. But let's be honest, when you're playing in front of 60,000 people versus 2,000 people, there is a difference. You your environment changes, and there's going to be more pressure. There's going to be, more emotions involved. But everyone at the international level is good. And there's really no weak links in teams these days. And I think if we're going to get into a little bit of the tactical aspect of the conversation, there's a more emphasis on the kicking game. It's a little more strategic. And it's funny, some nations in the Northern Hemisphere will have a huge kicking game where teams in the Southern Hemisphere, they're going to play a fast, side-to-side type of rugby. But to answer your question, yeah, there's a big difference, and it really comes down to the speed and the intensity of the game.
You have a preference between 7s and 15s?
I'm done with 7s.
Are you?
I'm all 15s, yeah.
Okay, good to know. I should have figured that out beforehand. But are you ever intimidated when you get out on that field? I know you're about 6'1", 6'2", 210 roughly, if those numbers are correct. Like, you ever get out there, see some big boys and think, holy Dinah, I'm in for it today?
I don't know if I say I'm in for it, but I've definitely looked across the field and I'm like, geez, that guy's big. I probably don't want to run into him. But those are the moments that I honestly love the most. When I got my back against the wall and we're playing a country or a team that, statistically speaking, is better than us, that's the moments I love. The challenge is exciting, and it just continues to build your confidence and your experience and your maturity in life, and that's where growth happens, is just being in tough, hard situations.
Is that like running that marathon on December 10th with Andrew Stallings?
Man, that was tough. That was one of the harder things I've ever done.
What part of it?
And say it again?
What part of it specifically?
Holding my pace at 215 pounds for 26.2 miles. Everything in my body was like, dude, you don't need to run this fast. Slow down. Like, there's no point. But I was like, no, my ego's too big, and I'm too competitive to allow that voice to win. So I was in a dark place for about an hour, just chugging through it. But that was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. Meeting people along the run, the energy, the vibe, it was so contagious. It's, definitely a proud moment.
As someone who doesn't track like your macros, you eat intuitively, how did you manage to stay at your same size during this training? I know you were adding 3+ running sessions to your typical training schedule in the off season. Like, what were you doing to be like, were you throwing back some extra calories?
That's a great question, because I thought I would lose more weight than I did. I definitely up calories. Like you said, I don't track calories, don't track macros. I'm pretty cognizant of what goes into my body. Really, really hyper focused on the ingredients and types of food that's going in. But I just loaded up a little more carbohydrates around trainings and runs. Made sure that I was ingesting adequate amount of protein. 1 gram per pound of body weight. And I just honestly stuck with the same thing. It's not hard. You know what you need to put into your body. And when you're working harder than usual, you got to put a little bit more into your body. I think people just have a bad relationship with food, and they're so hyper fixated on the weight on the scale and whatnot. It's eat clean, eat enough quality foods, hydrate well, take care of your body, sleep well. That's what I focused on.
I think most people are focused on the food aspect because they are struggling with it. And to your point, like, you're best served helping that person you once were. And most people aren't eating as clean as you are, eliminating all that processed food. So they're still struggling with it. And they're like, man, I listened to Christian on the Athletes podcast, and he told me if I eat clean, I don't have to track, I don't have to worry about any of those calories. But in reality, they haven't done all of that work previously to eliminate what's necessary.
Let's be real. If there's a few things that people need to focus on, it's get rid of anything processed. If your grandma doesn't recognize it, don't put it in your body. Get rid of added sugars, get rid of seed and vegetable oils, and eat things that come from like 1 or 2 ingredients only. And I'm a huge, huge advocate for quality over quantity. And 100 calories in beef is a hell of a lot different than 100 calories of a bag of chips. And so people always talk about calories in versus calories out, which I completely disagree with, because your body interacts with those calories in very, very different ways. Some forms of foods are going to spike insulin, which is going to cause you not to be able to burn fat. It's going to give you a huge energy spike and a huge energy dip. So now, those are the little things I'm focused on right now, is the types of food coming in. I'm back-ending carbohydrates for later in the day. I'm having more protein and fats in the earlier parts of the day. It's a lot of grass-fed ground beef. It's a lot of organic chicken, wild-caught fish, tons of fruit, tons of raw honey, a little bit of organic vegetables, tons of berries, and some good quality dairy. And those are really the only things that I put into my body. And I don't track. I eat a lot, and I never gain unnecessary weight.
Perks of a good metabolism and hard work, right? You're also in a great location to do it. When I was down in Austin, when I interviewed Rebecca Fusilier, chatted with Dom Fusco down in Austin, who I think you know. Man, you guys have so many different shops. They're all I couldn't believe the amount of options that were available from a health standpoint that we don't have here in Canada.
Yeah. But you don't have to any old grocery store is going to have, go on the perimeters of the store.
I was more meaning...
That's the simplest thing.
Yes, that is the hack. If you stay on the outside of the grocery stores, you will never be swayed in the wrong direction. But I was more meaning even as your outdoor dining options in Austin. You guys have crazy available, that are all cooked in bone, beef broth, or tallow. I was like, man, we don't have that in Canada.
I know. And I think it's growing. I think, more parts of the world are becoming more aware of some of the, how detrimental some of these ingredients are for both our body and our mind. But if you could just honestly stick to what I just mentioned, it could change your life night and day. And a lot of people think of eating with an outcome of, let me gain muscle or let me lose fat. When I think you need to change the perspective of, how can I feel good? And that's as much physical as it is mental. How can I eat good so I'm sleeping better? How can I eat better so my joints aren't aching? And how can I eat just to fuel myself for life? We're so fixated on lifting and eating the right amount of calories and whatnot for this desired outcome of how our body looks. And that's not sustainable. And so our relationship with working out and eating needs to be for longevity and overall vitality than it does what you're looking in the mirror.
Retweet, man. Couldn't agree with you more. And dude, that's coming from someone who has a six-pack, who is able to go out and do those things, right? A lot of people hear that and they're like, oh man, maybe that's just an excuse for some guy who's not in the best shape. You're probably in the top 1% from an athletic, physical standpoint, and you're saying that because you understand the benefits physically, mentally, emotionally that come from fueling and putting your body through the right work and giving it the right fuel it needs. You mentioned, other parts of the world waking up to it. Where's been the favorite place that the sport of rugby has brought you in this world?
So my favorite place that I've ever been to is, without rugby's, Italy. I haven't played in Italy yet, but I love that country. So I'd say rugby specific, it's either waking up in Cape Town or... Dude, we were just in Portugal last summer. That was pretty cool. Waking up, walking out the balcony, looking at the bay. But I love London. I have amazing friends there from UC Berkeley, so that's always a fun place to go, because as much as it is rugby, it's about reconnecting with old, teammates in college. So Cape Town, Lisbon, Portugal, and London, UK are my three favorites.
Dope. If you weren't playing rugby, what sport would you be playing right now?
Man, I'd probably be a professional pickleballer.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm playing as much as I can. I need a little bit of work. I could probably use a coach. But I love pickleball. But yeah, if I wasn't playing rugby, I probably wouldn't be playing sports in another field. I'd probably be working.
Yeah. The sport of pickleball, man. There's something about it that cross between table tennis, squash.
Is it big up in Canada?
It's growing. For sure. We had Ben Johns on the pod. Obviously, when you get the number one player in the world on, that gets a bit of attention. And man, I love it. My cousin, they have their family. They're down in LA. They've got a pickleball court in their backyard. We rip that every time we're down there.
It's the dream.
I can't wait. We'll have to get a match in. I'm going to be down in Texas at some point. We'll get out. We'll get a workout in. We'll get some sauna and cold therapy. Yeah. But man, pickleball, racket sports in general, actually, have been known for extending lifespan. I'll have to reference the study and put in the link. But dude, I posted about it on LinkedIn last week around how beneficial racket sports are for mentally. Like, ridiculous. I have to find that study. Anyways, do you play anything else to stay on top of your game? Like, I know you're doing some drills where you're catching stuff to ensure your hand-eye coordination's better, but like, how are you adding or incorporating training that isn't rugby specific that helps your game? If at all.
It's a good question. Pickleball definitely up there. I try to golf as much as I can.
Okay, what's the cap at?
Dude, I'm lucky if I'm shooting in the 90s.
That's okay. That's okay. You're getting out there. How long have you been playing for?
My whole life.
Okay.
I can't say that I'm religious about golf. You know, I go as much as I can, which in season gets tough, but there's no replica for playing your sport. So as much as I try to augment some of my rugby specific training with other forms of mental and physical training, it's always going to be focused on having a rugby ball in my hand, because you can't replicate it, and that's just the way it is.
I did find the study published by the British Journal of Sports Medicine. It examined the link between 6 different types of exercise and risk of early death. Research looked at racket sports, swimming, aerobics, cycling, running, and soccer. Study volunteers included 80,306 people who ranged in the age of 30 to 98. Over the course of the study's 9 years, those who regularly played racket sports were 47% less likely to die of any cause and 56% less likely to die of cardiovascular disease.
I love that.
Dude, take that in.
Oh, dude, that's huge. And you also got to take in the component of community, being social, seeing friends on a weekly basis does more for you than people give credit to. And it doesn't mean you have to go all out, burn 1,000 calories in an hour, playing singles for an hour. Go out for 20, 30 minutes with friends, reconnect, say hi, check in with people, see how someone's actually doing. Not just, hey, what's up? It's like, hey, how are you? How's life? You happy? How's the family? Like, that does more good than people think.
Bro, for those watching on YouTube, they see my reaction. They see me nodding along. It's like, I could not agree more. I probably neglected that for the past couple of years, and health, mental, everything went down from that. And I didn't associate it, just thought, oh, we're traveling, moving around. But dude, having that sense of community, having those boys that you can go hang out with, those girls, whatever it is, can't be underestimated.
We all, as humans, we all want human connection, but it's almost like we don't prioritize it enough. And I'll tell you what, Friday nights, like we talked about, going to bed at 7:30 or 8 whenever we actually think about going to bed, like my ideal Friday night or weekend is, let's go get a workout in, let's go get a run in, let's go do a sauna cold plunge. Like, surrounding myself with people that genuinely like that as well is something that gives me the biggest boost of energy and happiness in the world.
It's Friday nights under the bar instead of at the bar now.
Oh, dude. The bar's cool after a big win. Obviously, you got to celebrate with the boys, but Friday night I'm hanging out. Like, if I could do something active where I'm sweating, having fun, pushing my body to limits with other people as well, man, that's golden ticket for me.
Who were those people that you grew up watching, idolizing, wanting to emulate your game after?
Yeah, we're talking rugby?
Dude, any athlete.
So Christian McCaffrey's always been one of the biggest inspirations for me. Everything about that guy I respect. Player over in England, captain for England, Owen Farrell, definitely someone I look up to from a rugby standpoint. There's a guy named Blaine Scully, former USA captain, international, one of the most decorated American rugby players of all time. Went to my high school. I've known him since I was 8 or 9. That was always a huge inspiration. And then really, my Superman was always my father. The way he approaches life, family, work, his discipline to his craft, and the way that he makes others feel very, very good about themselves before himself has done, wonders for me. And so I'd say Pops is always going to be the number one idol.
I love it when people bring up their parents too, because it's an opportunity to highlight kind of those individuals who instilled it from the very beginning. How integral were your parents throughout that process? Was there one in particular that was more involved, that was prioritizing specific things? Give me the lowdown.
Yeah, so both mom and dad, unbelievable parents. Definitely give them the best parent award that, they deserve that. But I'd say my dad and I have an incredible and unique relationship. He was in the military, so my childhood growing up was very structured. As simple as I couldn't leave the house without having my hair done. Or if I didn't wake up early in the morning, he's in my room pouring cold water on my face. If I didn't take the trash out on trash day, the trash is in my bed. If I had a sleepover at a friend's house on Friday night, Saturday morning, 7 a.m., he's picking me up to go to work to clean up job sites. And so from an early age, I really understood structure, discipline, work hard first, then you can play second. And that carried out through school, through sport, through life. And that was really the basis and the foundation of who I am today. And I got a lot of my sense of care and relationships and taking care of others from my mom, who's just the most outward thinking person ever, always wants to host people over, always wants to make people feel happy and connected and great about themselves. And so combination of mom and dad, I attribute a lot of who I am today to them.
It's always interesting to hear the backstory, and now it makes a bit more sense as to why you're able to stick to a routine, follow a bit of a rhythm, because you had dad pouring cold water, doing cold exposure therapy from a young age with you.
Dude, it was torture when I was a kid. I hated it. I hated getting up, but yeah, it was just like, dude, we got to get up. We got to go to work. You sleep and you're wasting time. And he was even my basketball coach growing up, and like he would be shooting hoops with me out in the driveway. We lived on a ranch for 5 years, and our driveway was a 4,000-foot airplane runway. He'd be on a dirt bike while I'm doing laps, and he'd speed up, and he's like, "Come on, you got to catch me, you got to catch me." I'm like, "Holy shit, I'm out of breath trying to catch him." But just like, it was grind. Like that guy told me, he's like, "If you jump rope for 10 minutes a day, you'll be able to dunk." And I'm now looking back, I'm like, he's so full of shit. But I believed it, and I trusted him so wholeheartedly that I would be jump roping for 15 minutes every day trying to dunk. But it was just that's the relationship we had.
Dude, I bet you probably could. I don't know. Were you jumping rope 15 times a day? You could probably dunk at that point.
Dude, I got small hands. I can't palm a ball.
Oh, Dad.
So I could get there, but the ball would be slipping out of my hands.
Didn't bless you with the big palms. That's okay. Hey, you can't have everything.
Unfortunately, God didn't give me that.
Yeah, you can't have everything, right? It's tough to be perfect. Nope. It seems like you got a lot of things covered. I'd say for sure that is the case. Christian, I feel like we could chop it up for hours. Anything you want to highlight right now? Obviously, you are beginning this season. You had an incredible past couple of seasons. You've been representing your country. I'm sure it's amazing being able to toss that flag on. The amount of national pride the U.S. has is something special. But I want to always give space here at the end of this episode. The usually way we wrap up is we ask our guests their biggest piece of advice for the next generation of athletes. Obviously, our goal is to educate, entertain, inspire, similar to what your mission is. But I want to give you space here today to highlight anyone else, any other specific area for Christian Dyer here before we let you go with your day.
Yeah, good topic. Good way to end it off. Two pieces. I'd say a quote that I really live by is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Self-doubt is the number one cause of failure, because you never even give yourself the opportunity to go achieve a dream. And number two, I used to have very, very metric-driven goals, especially when it comes to sport. So that could be scoring the most tries, the most line breaks, the biggest hits, whatever it may be. And I've now kind of created goals on a lifestyle, and it's, I want to be the player that everyone wants to play with. And I think that's the biggest form of respect that I could get, is having players from not only my team, the teams around the MLR, but also international. If I could be recognized as someone from another country that they want to play with me, they want me on their team, I think it goes so far beyond just the sport itself. And the way I look at it is, I want to be the best teammate I can be. I want to be the best son to my mom and dad, the best brother to my sister and my brother. And it's so much more about who I am as a person and the lifestyle that I live and the lifestyle that I preach than it is these metric-driven goals. And so for all these up-and-coming stars in whatever sport you play, just start envisioning the lifestyle that you really want to live and the influence that you have on your teammates and your peers and your family, because that's what's really going to matter. That means more than if you're scoring points, if you're on the bench. It's important, but those are all temporary goals. And so if you can think a little further and a little bigger than just yourself, you're going to have more of an impact in this world than you think you can.
We all need to soak up a little bit more of what Christian Dyer has to say. Dude, that was awesome. I'm honored to be able to chat with you today. Excited for our next
we
cold
did it,
plunge, our pickleball match, our cold exposure therapy, whatever it is. We'll grab a coffee next time. We'll
make a day out of it.
Yeah, 100%. And we got to highlight the chase too. You mentioned your brothers, your sisters, your brother and your sister. Sorry, I'm sure you were chasing them around growing up.
Yep.
Let's talk about the chase briefly. Highlight where people can find it, who you're highlighting on that show, and let's give it the little AP bump it deserves.
All right, little self advertisement here. Got my own podcast, The Chase. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And at the premise, it's about chasing a dream. And so I'm bringing on guys from, just say, the UFC to Olympic medalists to NFL players, NBA players, and we're sharing their journeys chasing a dream and the lessons that they've learned on their own journey. And I think it just takes one conversation that you hear to completely change your life or give you the kickstart or the momentum that you've been looking for. And so if I can be a light in just one person's life in this world, well, that's a win for me. And our goal, with obviously the help of you here with your own podcast, that's what we're doing together. And we're just continuing to spread the good word, because I think there's a lack of it in today's society.
Could not agree more. And I think it's also fitting we probably highlight Andrew Stallings from Athleto Group.
Shout out, Andrew.
You want to maybe give one or two little Cole's notes on how that guy helped you, whether it was marathon training, brand deals, etc.?
Yeah. Andrew Stallings, CEO, founder of the Othello Group. That guy is my manager, my mentor, my brother, my friend, my ride or die. He's opened up doors that I never knew existed for me. And as much as they are an athlete agency, they're a full in-house suite where they take, dreams and visions and they turn it into reality, from marketing to management to connecting to storytelling, getting books out, getting movies or documentaries out. That guy's awesome. Yeah. That guy is really awesome.
Hey, you're awesome too, man. Don't forget it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Your time. This has been great.